A scandal du jour about DeJoy is now at the center of your second stimulus checks. So who's passing the Grey Poop on? Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE. Hope you're good and safe. This is afternoon's LALATE that starts every day at 3:30, starts with a check, then goes to hazard pay, then FPUC, and finally rent assistance. Really great news overnight, this morning, and midday, and still evolving as major developments, and I'm going to tell you right now off the bat, these are confusing developments, are formulating about your second stimulus check. They're great news, but they're incredibly different than even hours ago. So let me get right to the details. First, I'm going to fully warn, this is not the stamps channel. I don't highlight wonderful stamps you should get, but there's going to be a lot of chatter about stamps starting right now. Your second stimulus check is part of the second stimulus package, and while the parties involved with the second stimulus check agreed about it weeks ago, they couldn't send it out because it was part of a big package, which they ultimately couldn't agree upon completely. At the time, last Monday, Steve Mnuchin, who was part of the negotiations, told CNBC the reason why the second stimulus package could not be agreed upon was a bailout of states, $1 trillion. I detailed that for over a week. We dealt with that as the scandal of the moment. Well, that's no longer the scandal. The current scandal is an issue involving the Postmaster General, whose name is Postmaster DeJoy. Yes, I don't make up these names. He's our new cast in our cast of characters of this evolving soap opera. More about him in a second. What happened overnight was the following. This morning, Mark Meadows, chief of staff to the president, appeared on Morning News and said that he supports sending out a second stimulus check right now, that Nancy Pelosi supports sending out a second stimulus check right now, and that on Friday, Nancy Pelosi apparently told news and report that I did not catch, I missed, that she supports your second stimulus check to be a standalone bill. Now, we all understand that. That was on morning's LALATE. That was where we started the day. Standalone bill for second stimulus check, and when we'd agree upon it, go out this coming week. Mark Meadows, that's the easy part of this video. Before I get to the amount of the check and who gets the check, let me tell you what gets this very complicated so quickly. What gets this complicated so quickly is Mark Meadows in the interview said that no problem, Nancy wants some money for the post office. I'll give her some money for the post office. I'll throw it in this standalone second stimulus check bill. Such a nice guy. He wants to throw in money for the post office. Nancy doesn't like that, and I'm going to tell you why. There's a major scandal brewing right now about the Postmaster General, and it's of such urgency that Nancy Pelosi is now mulling bringing back House Representatives into session by the 24th to discuss an emergency bill about the Inspector General. Chuck Schumer has threatened the Inspector General to appear at a hearing, an investigative hearing on the 24th, and if he doesn't, to subpoena him. The situation is so severe that they are now saying that they need to get the second stimulus package approved right now, despite the fact that you need your money to pay the bills and pay the rent and put food on the table. They need to pass the bill right now because this Inspector General could destroy the entire integrity of the election. That's their allegation. More about that in a second. What the hell, LALATE? Yes, this has nothing to do with everything we have heard about in the last week. It is literally something hitting the fan in the last 24 hours, let alone the last 6 hours. Let me back up. $1,200 second stimulus check. Both sides agree upon that. They agreed upon 2 weeks ago. $1,200 second stimulus check for individuals who are non-dependents. That's easy. That's the easy part. Next, that's easy part. Married couple, $2,400 for a married couple, also easy part. They both agree upon that. They also agree upon the manner of delivery and the time of delivery. They agree upon you would receive it about 10 days by electronic receipt. It would take 1 day of act of Congress to vote on it for the House, 1 day for Senate. President signed it the next day, 3 days, 3-day turnaround, and 10 days to send it out from the IRS. They all agree upon that. That's the easy part. I'm not going to spend the time on the video on that. Then the only part that they don't agree upon is the following so far, that the Republicans want $500 for dependents and the Democrats want $1,200 for dependents. And they don't agree upon the number of people in the household. So the Republicans want a 4-member household. The Democrats want a 5-member household. So the Democrats' number is $1,200 times 5 people, $6,000, up to a $6,000 per household calculation. $1,200 times 5. Very simple. The Republicans want a 4-person household with the married couple getting $1,200, and then the dependents getting $500. So if you're a single mom, you have 3 kids, $1,200 plus $500. If you have 5 kids, you're only going to get a stimulus check for 3 of the kids. That is the way they calculate. Viewers of this channel were very irate when I first reported this on Friday. It is still the position of the White House and the Republicans, because if you are a person on SSDI, SSI, Social Security benefits, you're going to get a check. That's great news, but if you're an adult dependent, you're over 18 years of age, you're only going to get $500. Viewers are irate about that because under the first stimulus package, if you're over 18 years of age, you didn't get a stimulus check if you were a dependent. On the first stimulus package, if you're 18 years of age or older and were a dependent, you weren't getting a stimulus check. And a lot of that is people on benefits that I just described. So everyone is fixing it this time around. Republicans and Democrats agree that all dependents get a check. Just the Republicans want to give you $500. Now, that's not the real big issue today. That was the issue Friday. We have a new scandal. Keep a pen and paper because it's like tic-tac-toe. Today's scandal is, kids and boys, this is a much bigger scandal than $500 versus $1,200. The current scandal is this. On Friday, Nancy Pelosi was asked by News if she would agree to a standalone bill for the second stimulus check, so that it would get out to you fast. It wouldn't be tied up with this wrangling about the second stimulus package. She said yes. Mark Meadows, Chief of Staff, was asked the question this morning. He said yes. That's incredibly great news. I mean, you can't have better news than that. That basically means, hey, we get this done, the check goes right out. Now, here, that's the first step. The second step of it that's not particularly great news is, well, we don't have a bill. There's no such standalone bill right now. There's no one in the building. Hello, there's no one in the building. Who wrote the bill? There's no bill. Write a bill. Well, we don't have a napkin, right? Someone write the bill, for God's sakes. So there needs to be a bill written and needs to be introduced and needs to be signed by the House, the Senate, and then signed by the President in 3 days. But no one is in session. So Mark Meadows, who, yes, was on vacation last week, having a wonderful vacation while the rest of America is being evicted and thrown on the streets, now says he wants the Democrats to come back to Washington. Well, first of all, they haven't left, many of them, and Republicans left as much as the Democrats as well. So let's just speak very clear on the facts here. But he wants everyone back into session, and he said this morning, come back to session, do a standalone bill for the second stimulus check. And I'll throw Postmaster money in there because apparently Nancy wants that right now to get this done, and she thinks it's an urgent matter. So I'll throw some money in for the Postmaster, and that'll make Nancy happy, and we'll get this all done. Sounds really good on its surface. And it also sounds really good because Nancy Pelosi and 2 other top Democrats, including House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, Democrat of Maryland, and House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, discussed an emergency leadership call meeting yesterday by telephone, asking to come back right away. The entire Congress. The option first was to do a modified bill. The other option was to have everyone come right back. Other Democrats, I'm going to go slow on this part. Other Democrats also floated addressing the other issues of doing all other issues, including federal unemployment benefits and voting rights and, stimulus checks right now as well in this emergency return. Now, Pelosi, that was then. Then the additional that's political. Politico's reporting an inside source that says that Pelosi is considering bringing everyone back. The Democratic House on Sunday demanded that the leaders of the U.S. Post Office to testify at an emergency oversight hearing on April 24th. Okay, now let me get to why is this so strange? Now, I've explained some very complicated things on this channel before. This is probably the most complicated thing I'm ever going to explain right now, so I'm going to go very slowly. There's a problem brewing that both Republicans and Democrats believe, but it's mainly a Democratic contention, that the Inspector General of the Post Office, whose name is DeJoy, is trying to not operate the post office in a lawful manner that will invalidate the election just a few weeks away. And the Democrats believe, and I'm repeating their claims, I'm not saying it's my claims, the Democrats claim that unless we do this right now, it's going to be very serious. There is the following confirmed facts. 700 high-volume mail processing machines have been removed within just the last few weeks from the post office. There have been removal of letter collection boxes in key swing states, including Missouri, near Springfield, Missouri, and other states. They have disappeared. They have been removed. Mail is arriving later, not to be sorted in rapid numbers. Most overtime is now not being paid, so mail processing people, mailmen and mail persons are literally leaving the work and not doing the mail. And post office operating hours are forced to close early to midday. Now, the president. Let me explain let me explain what Mark Meadows said minutes ago this morning. He said, yeah, the post office needs more money. I will throw more money to the post office. That's not just what the Democrats' claim is. They claim that it's not just money, but there's actions at the post office that are so at concern at the moment that it may cheat the election, and that just throwing money at the post office is not the solution. So while they think that you need to get the second stimulus checks, they also think that this Postmaster General problem is so urgent at the moment that it needs to draw all members of Congress back to Washington and get it done. So what are the Republicans doing on its side? And this is where it becomes very fascinating. The president said that he was blocking, this is his own words, he was blocking a $25 billion emergency injection into the post office, part of the Democrats' proposal. He said it. It's not a dispute. He says he's blocking it. Bernie Sanders reacted to the situation. This is before this morning. Bernie Sanders said, what you're witnessing is a president of the United States who's doing everything he can to suppress the vote, make it harder for people to engage in mail-in balloting at the time in which they're putting their lives on the line. So Mark Meadows this morning walked it back, and he said, you know what, that's not the case. The president wants to give money to the post office. We'll throw more money onto the post office, and it will be on top of your second stimulus check. And then everyone is happy. It's not that easy, according to the Democrats. There's an all-assault on the post office and its role to ensure the integrity of the 2020 election, Pelosi said today. The president has made plain that he will manipulate the operations of the post office to deny eligible voters the ballot in the pursuit of the re-election, says Schumer and Pelosi. Now, Mark Meadows says no. And you know what? Mark Meadows says, I'm going to throw you money, lots of money for the post office. Come back and I'll give you a stimulus check as well. You see where this is going. I'm not here to this is not the Stamps channel. I'm not the Postmaster General channel. It's yawn. It's not my thing. I'm sorry. I just don't get excited about mail. It's just not a very exciting subject. What I'm trying to tell you is that suddenly your checks are tied up in a big scandal. It's not just a little chitter-chatter. It is a scandal about the Postmaster General, with both sides trying to angle it right away. Mark Meadows this morning: I will give you the guarantee right now. The President of the United States is not going to interfere with the casting the vote in a legitimate way, whether it's the post office or otherwise. He also said that I will give you money. I don't have the quote there. We will give you money for the post office and we'll put it on the table. The White House also said, we have made it clear to the administration that we're willing to resume negotiations once they take the process seriously. What the hell is going on? Yes. So suddenly your $1,200 check that is so simple, and all we have to really argue about is, is child support taken out of it? The Democrats say no. The Republicans say yes. That answers your question about child support. I don't have the answer yet still. I simply just don't have the answer yet about child support. And we only have that other real battleground, $500 for dependents or $1,200 for dependents, or family of 4 versus family of 5. So simple. So simple. Suddenly your checks are tied into one of the biggest scandals of 2020, the Postmaster General. And now there's a rush of urgency by congressional leaders, and you heard it from Mark Meadows. He wants people back in town to pass legislation on the UPS and your second stimulus check together. And Democrats, they want to come back in town and do a rush hearing about the Postmaster General, and are ordering him to appear and are threatening him if he does not appear. Suddenly your checks are wrapped up in this web about the postmaster, his mailboxes, mail sorting facilities, in a discussion that's so incredibly complicated to follow on something so simple as, where the hell is my damn checks? Yes. As one viewer asked me, and I understand it's a very good question, where is this all coming from, LALATE? Well, you literally have to read the political article about the emergency hearing. Then you have to watch Mark Meadows' interview this morning. Then you have to listen to Steve Mnuchin's interview on Monday. And what's unfortunate here is the following. And if you don't know this, let me make this very clear to you. These people keep on appearing on morning news, but when they appear on morning news, there's not always a video for it, and there's often not a transcript for it. For example, when Steve Mnuchin appeared on CNBC on Monday morning and said all that incredible stuff that I keep on repeating on, CNBC didn't release a video for it, and they didn't release a transcript for it. And when they often report on their own broadcast, they'll just give you a few sentences of it. And then people say, I didn't see that happen. Where was that? What happened? Just like me, I didn't see Nancy Pelosi say this thing the other day that she's willing to do a standalone bill, but it was confirmed by several news reporters. They were there, and it was, it's not like, something behind a back dumpster. She said it. Moreover, if you didn't catch what Mark Meadows said this morning, or didn't catch the entire video, then you're at the discretion of seeing excerpt of the sentence. So we literally have a very confusing situation with the Postmaster General now anchoring your checks. So what should you think going forward today? Great news that there's agreement upon your checks. Great news there's agreement you're supposed to get a check. Great news you're going to get a check. Not so clear news on child support. Not so clear news on the dependents. For purposes of viewers who are dependents, really unhappy news that it's $500 being proposed by the Republicans. But don't lose hope, because that's just their negotiated offer, or that's at least the president's presumption. What the hell news is this tie-up of DeJoy du jour with your Grey Poupon arriving in the bank account. As I told you, it literally changes by the hour. As one viewer said, that's what Mark said in the morning, let's see what happens tomorrow. That's what Nancy said in the morning, let's see what happens tomorrow. No, just give it a few hours. It'll change again. As I said, when Fox News reported to you that nothing is happening on the second stimulus check to September, I said, not only is that not going to be true, we're not even going to go 2 hours until something happens on the second stimulus check. It's literally changing by the minute. As always, join me and stay with me. Go to the front of this channel and hit that subscribe button. That subscribe button, that alert button. I am updating grant programs, free money that is available for you across the country. I ask people, if you hear about any more free money programs, DM me or in a private message on Twitter at LALATE. Send it to me. I'll post it I'll post it here on the channel. That's probably the best and quickest way for me to share it. I'm sharing a lot of information, updating stuff as it comes out, not just a video. If you're having problems with alerts, drop in the stickies. I have an information about how to ensure you're getting alerts when a new video goes live. Coming up next is hazard pay, then FPUC, and rent assistance. As always, stay informed, stay educated, and stay in LA for more.